Alright guys, I got another tutorial for you. Going over the new roster editor that Leftos made for NBA 2K13 roster files before the Redditor comes out, which has been so useful for early modding in the game. We've never had a roster editor this early. Because of it, we have an Ncaa mod already, we have a stream mod already. I mean, the stuff that this thing does for us so quickly is just so amazing. Let's load it up real quick and I'll give you a quick look at what it does and what it can and cannot do. So this is the basic roster editor. Let's open up the November 1st roster. As you can see, it's your pretty standard roster editor, and it has some. It doesn't have all the values that you can edit, but it has most of them. Everything from dunk packages to the contract to the hotspots to the tendencies to the ratings to basic information, and even just the signature skills, of course. And for me, he added in the cap, the creative player stuff, just so I can screw around with it for all my mods while I wait for the Redditor to come out. As always, you can change your Cyberface ID, your generic face, player type, and unlock players. It is good stuff there. If you go over to the Teams tab, you can see the different teams. This is kind of glitching out right now. I don't know why. But usually this will let you edit the rotations and everything. And then the jerseys tab is not working for the latest roster right now. It's a known issue. Hopefully he updates it so that will change. One thing to note is that this is not editable. You cannot change the names. I'll go into that in a second. The names things have completely changed. Now let's say I wanted to take these players and I want to copy them into Excel. If you right click, it doesn't do anything, but you can do Control-C to copy it. I'll open up my Open Office program again, and as you can see, when I paste it in, it gives me player type, position, all of these different things with the headers. And the headers are important because if you do a full copy and you copy in these IDs as well, what this will do is make it so when I paste in, so let's say I just take this stuff right here. Let's say I don't need any of these players. So I'll delete these rows. Let's say I wanted to change these guys to centers, or if I want to change the player type. So I can just copy this right here. Hit copy. Now watch right here. Okay, I can click anywhere. Go Control V, and you see how these two just updated right here. That just makes it so much easier. This is all updated because for some reason this is all bugging out. Don't worry about that. But that just makes it so much easier, and you gotta realize that these aren't clickable. This is based on whether or not they show up in the Teams tab, which is glitching out, like I said, or if they show up in the Free Agents tab. Let's open up a roster that's actually working with this thing right now. Here's an Ncaa updated roster that we're working on. As you can see, since the CF IDs the Cyberface IDs aren't loaded, the names aren't showing up, but again, they're not editable, so it doesn't matter. This is something that Basketball 110 has been working on me with, and he's been doing an amazing job with editing this. Since this is an old roster, these are working. So we can see here that we have the rotation set up for each of the Ncaa teams, even though they don't say it here. And then we have jerseys that we can edit. We can edit the team colors for the accessories and everything, change the neck type, change the sock color, and even the name of what the uniform is being used. That's how this is for the old roster files that came out with the game. They did a little bit of a roster update, and it kind of jumbled everything around. So Leftos is working on it, but we're not going to push him towards it because this is a free editor, unlike the Redditor. And I completely urge you guys to donate to him for the tools that he made, because these are just done so much for us already. So I think I will go into some of the basics that you guys should know about the tool. So I'll just minimize this for now. Now, as you notice, there was names in the first file, but there weren't names in the second file. Because the roster encrypts the names of the teams and the players and everything else that has a name in the roster file, and they're not automatically editable, the tool doesn't use them for the names. So we have this thing by Duke W, who's been also amazing. He's a contributor at the NLSC now. He has these CF names, these different files that you can download and put into your documents and the NBA 2K13 roster editor, and you put those in here. So let's just overwrite my names and my CF names, because he's updated this to version 9, as you can see. So this one is a name file that's based off the Cyberface ID. This will not change between roster files, which makes it very useful to not only try to find a player and their CF ID, but also to simply use to calibrate the names. This name is based off the ID that can change from roster to roster to roster. So just keep that in mind, that if you use a different roster, I think they changed already twice in the updates they've used, so this one isn't as consistent. So I want to use the CF names. So if I load up the tool again and go over to options, and I want to use, instead of the names file, I want to use the CF names file, and I want to choose the name by the Cyberface ID. These are two important things. You want to make sure you hit save, and it's saved. Okay. So now I can open up, let's open up my NBA Street roster. These names are showing up because they match this in that text file that I put in here. And then the jerseys tab, like I said, these are all editable. You can change the color here, and what's nice is he even made it so we can change the color right here, which is awesome. And you can change the names here too. Hidden players. There are hidden players. You can see them by this checkbox right here. Clicking it does nothing, because again, they're only hidden if they don't show up in this in either team rosters or in the free agents down here. So if we scroll down, we can see some of the hidden players right here. These are players that aren't in the NBA anymore. They weren't in the NBA, but they were in the roster file already. They can be unlocked by simply taking. So let's say we want Baron Davis back in the game. We go to 1460. That's his ID. Go over to the teams. Let's say I just want to put him in the free agents. So what was he? 1460. Go all the way down to the end of where the -1s start. And I screwed up again. Go over. So 1460, just type it in right there. And then we go all the way back down here, and we change the player number to 111, because now there's 111 players in the free agency. As long as you do that, Baron Davis will now show up in the free agents list. If I wanted to add him to a team, let's say I wanted to put Baron Davis on the O2 Kings for whatever reason, 1460 right there, update the player number to 13, and that's all you have to do. It doesn't edit the rotations properly. You are going to have to go into the game and redo the rotations if you add them to a team like that, but that's not that difficult to do. I mean, you can just press a button and the computer does it for you. One thing to note that is, if I updated this, I need to hit save teams right here rather than a big save that takes care of everything. Same with the jerseys. You save the jerseys individually, and the players, you save the players tab individually. So there's not a save all roster. You got to click each one individually. The other great thing that this can do is if you create a player. I don't think I have any created players in here, so let's just open up the Ncaa mod again. Now let's say this right here is a created player. I believe the created players actually show up down near ID 1030, I believe is what it was. I think this would be the first created player slot. I'm not 100% sure. But what you do is you find your creative player. An easy way to do that is to give him a height that's way too high or way too low. That's an easy way to try to find them. Or a really high or low weight. Those are the easiest ways to find a player in this roster editor if they're not in the name file. So if you created a player or whatnot. All you have to do to add a Cyberface. Let's say I created my own Cyberface file. Let's say it is... Let's go to one that's not being used. So let's say I use... Let's say I use 4 for his CFID. As you saw, I just copied 5 and put it at 4. He's going to have an Allen Iverson head if I actually did this. All I have to do is press CFID and type in 4. And then this checkbox right here, the generic face, unclick. That's it. Now, if I load up this game, if I load up this roster, my created player will have his own unique Cyberface file. And I could take any player, I could create a custom if file for this player, as long as it's named 0004, this will show up as his Cyberface. And that is pretty much the ins and outs of it. The one thing to remember, so like I said, you got to remember about these ID things, because when you change it, it can really screw up things. Just for an example right here, if I do a bunch of zeros to change the player type, and I just copy it, and I try to click here and paste it in, it's not going to work, because pasted data has to have the column headers in the first row. Well, if you don't know what the... Okay, I need to change ID too. If you don't know what it is, copy this out, paste, so we have player type. Now, I can take this, copy it, bring it in here, and I can go down here, press paste. Oh, again, sorry, I screwed up. I screwed up. You need to have those IDs in the first row. I apologize. So, this needs to be over here right next to this. So you can't just simply copy and paste things in. You have to pick and choose. So let's say I want to change this one right here to 22 instead of 2. Let's save this guy from getting the different player type. And this one can be 30, whatever. So even though these aren't in order, it still works copy and pasting in. So I can just copy it, click anywhere, Control V. Well, if it ever screws up, you copy all of this and you paste it in the forum thread. Let's try that again. Copying and pasting can be a little bit of a pain in the butt with this thing, since it does do this, but at the same time it's very unique, it's very useful to have this capability. So let's try this again. Let's just take out, whoops, let's take this, copy it, let's paste it in here. I screwed up again. I don't know why I keep doing that. Alright, so again, the name doesn't mean anything, so it can just stay there. It's going to be blank, doesn't matter. Like I said, let's just change all of these people to centers for some reason. Let's change all the player types to 0. Alright, now, if I right-click, copy, go over here, click anywhere, Control V. There we go. Oh! It was beautiful when I did this for the Ncaa mod, and I might just show you on camera what I did. I got this Excel file from baseball. I put somewhere main roster, right? This is the one I edited, just to update to make sure that it was working properly. So this is a full roster for the Ncaa mod. He did add names, which again doesn't matter in this editor yet. But he has all of these IDs, the shoe colors, their muscle tone, their body type, the hair color. I mean, he went to town on all of this. This is a lot of work. And what sucks with sometimes with a Redditor, this can be a pain in the ass to get back into the file. Well, the way he had it formatted, the way he has these columns and everything, all I have to do is select all of this. Right click, copy. Go right up in here, and click anywhere, Control V. And I believe that went through. Yep, you can see the Nike brand. All of the Nikes, the way he has the shoe brand set up, the way he has the generic things here, and the different creative player hair types. And then with the teams, he also sent me a teams thing. There we go, depth charts. And he also sent me this. Again, the names don't matter. All I have to do is copy, bring it over here, click anywhere, doesn't matter, paste. And then this is all updated based on the Ncaa stuff that he sent me. And now if I'm going to save this, I remember I got to hit the save players here, got to hit the save teams here, and if I update the jerseys tab, I got to hit save jerseys. I think that is pretty much all I can say about the roster editor. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to talk about how to actually edit the names if you want to. So I hope you learned something from that mess of a tutorial, but I hope that explains everything this tool can and can't do. And there's also this find, replace, and other tools that you can use to make this. It's kind of like the the find and replace functions in the Redditor last year. But again, this is all free. Leftos did an amazing job, And if you have some extra dough, you know, send him some money, because he really went to town on this. And as you can see over here, this does support 360 files. So, yeah, this guy is amazing. And that's all I gotta say about it. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. I'll see you on the next tutorial.